Why, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we serve up a full dish of this week's episodes of NBC's number one award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. I'm your host, Tony Moore. We are back!
Yay.
Yay! And we're all back.
Yes.
Full
I am
house.
now joined by my gaggle gal. We have the return of the lumberjack himself.
I know. I'm plain black today
Yeah,
with a
you are.
multicolored shirt underneath.
I see. You're trying to switch it up a little bit. What did
Trying to be
the virus do
slimming
to
a
you?
little
It's
bit, a little
a
bit
new
of
micro.
Omicron weight going on. That's what I'll call it anyway.
Uh-huh. Who are
Anyway,
you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you guys?
No, I said, who are you? Not
Oh, who am I? I'm Michael Mattis. Sorry. He's like, I don't care how you are.
It's been so long, Michael Mattis. I almost
It has
forgot what you
been.
look
My
like.
last show was January 9th,
Oh,
Oh, was
maybe. That was a while ago.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're in a whole new year. No, I'm just kidding. And of course, we have the avid reader himself.
Hey guys, it's Hareld.
And the very lovely, beautiful person who has crashed my diet with her niece's Girl Scout cookies.
Yes.
You're welcome. Hi,
I'm already
everybody.
halfway done with my packages I got.
Oh, gosh. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Araceli. Yes, I have Girl Scouts in my family. And yes, it's like the worst thing to have right as it starts getting warmer.
And not just one. She emailed us and said, "Hey y'all, I got three. So each one of you can buy from
Yes.
each one," and assigned us and everything. And I was like, "We're doing this."
And it was one of those things you had to buy a lot to justify the shipping and everything. So you
Oh yeah.
you can't just get a box.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh no, John says my sound is a little muffled. I don't know. We're having technical difficulties, but I am also not a technical person, so we're just gonna hope for the best. Um,
Might adjust as we go.
Yeah. And of course, you got, oh my God, I almost forgot how to do this show. We've been gone for so long. You guys, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days on, oh gosh. This show
We've
is
been
going to
having
hell
music
in a
in so
handbasket.
long. We're like, what?
Bear with us, guys. It's going to
Going-
be kind of shaky for a little bit.
It's fine. We're fine. All is fine. It's all good. Everything's okay. We're doing great.
We're fine. We're doing great. You guys, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and underscore Dishin Days on the Twitter. The app is currently not wearing a mask indoors, as mandated by Los Angeles.
We're doing great.
We're doing great. And also, make sure you follow us on, or subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. You're already on it. You're probably watching us live and in person and trying to get through this show the best way possible. So go ahead and hit subscribe
Same.
and hit the bell notification so that way you know when to tune in. And also, if you are traveling, if you're on the treadmill, if you're going on a long road trip, or maybe you're just walking around your neighborhood and still want to tune in, we are on your favorite podcast stations. Tune into Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, or wherever podcasts are sold and bought. We also have merch. So buy our merch. Go to dishindays.threadless.com. That's dishindays.threadless.com. Michael Mattis, do you have the pictures of the new merch?
I certainly do.
Okay, so you guys,
Yay.
you know my mind was working, right? And I had this great idea for new merch. So available now, you can get
Nice.
the Meliswin t-shirt or the Possessed t-shirt. If you are like Araceli, you will not be purchasing the Possessed t-shirt because you are a wonderful Catholic schoolgirl and you are not trying to invite the devil. But don't worry about it. We have already prayed about it. We have already, made sure everything is okay. But I am like in love with this merch. I absolutely love it, and I hope you guys too.
Looks
So,
good.
so make sure you go and check it out. Get yourself one. The both of them come in shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. The Possess comes in a mug, and they both have beach towels as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
there you go.
Yeah.
So go check them out.
Really great job on those, totally.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you so
island
much.
sign
Thank
looks
you.
very good on the beach towel.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really, really nice. Yeah.
Hopefully it prints out well.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yes. And the
Um,
both designs are great. It's just like, there's only one design you can wear to dinner with your grandma.
This is very true. This is very true. Before she has questions as to what is
Yeah.
happening.
I get a
Um,
really bad look.
Right. All right, you guys. We've been gone for a hot minute, but we are back with an amazing week of days. What did you guys think of this week?
It
Michael
was like a
Madison,
step above. It was a step above an info week, but it was pretty decent.
Justin.
I thought most of it was really good. The stuff that like was intriguing and suspenseful was really good. Some of the other stuff was like, oh, okay, but there was enough like really good stuff to like hold my attention.
Sorry.
I think this was a week that people didn't necessarily mind all the flashbacks and all the filler because, we did kind of need a little bit of catch up and it just kind of felt like a nice way to ease us back in post 2 weeks off. I think if it had been, blow after blow after blow, if it had been like a big supersized week, I think it would have hurt my brain.
Yeah.
They needed to ease us back in.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if it was y'all, and I don't know if it was because we've been gone, like the show hasn't aired in so long. But there was a moment this week that I was like, the show feels different, but in like a good way. I don't know if it was just me or not. Like, it felt like I was watching like a brand new show.
Oh.
I didn't feel that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then it was just me, and I
Yeah.
think maybe
Probably just because we
okay.
had the break. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay, it's fine. I was just live on the ledge alone. Thank you guys.
No, I think no, but I think it's more us right now.
Yeah.
We appreciate it more when it's gone. You know what I mean?
I also think because it also like sometimes if we don't have a show, we still have to like catch up with the week. So it was nice that there literally was no days, so like we could start afresh with
Yeah.
we weren't playing catch up or like throwing a bunch of information in. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's do a game.
Like a challenge
It is
now.
now time to start.
Dishin Days.
Oh, come on. That was horrible. Okay.
Hey Tony, we are waiting for you.
We need
Oh,
we
I
need the
see.
countdown to do it. We
Okay,
need,
here we
we need
go.
a 5-second or 3-second countdown.
Here we go. Take two. It is now time to start.
Dishin
Days.
Days.
Yay.
Ba-ba! We said it and we forget it. All right, let's get it. Oh, I feel like this has turned into a new game where people will be like, oh, they're gonna point out who was
Yeah.
late.
Who's yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start with the storyline of. I mean, it really needed to go for the rest of the week, but we
Yeah.
have Abigail, Xander, Gwen, Kristen, Wade, Chad, Kate, Steve, and Kayla. Now, before we have a decision to make because whenever two characters combine, we have to call them something. There was Nicole. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not calling them that.
No. There was Nicole. So now that Sarah was revealed to be Renee, what should we call? Because we can't call her Sarah, we can't call her Renee. We have to combine these names and call her something. Now, Michael Mattis has
I've already decided.
Serenade.
Serenade. Serenade.
Serenade.
The other option would be
Or,
Renera.
or how about just Sunday?
Sunny.
Uh,
Sunny? No, that sounds like Sunny.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
Sunday.
different.
Oh, okay.
Dolores L says call her Earl.
What did James? Cerise. Cerise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of like that better.
Renee.
Saray.
Saray. Saray.
Saray.
Saray.
Sounds like a housewife. Isn't that a housewife's name?
Kinda.
Feels like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not, but sounds
Yeah,
like it.
it is.
So we're going to go with Saray.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to just like fully.
Oh, it's
combine
Sheree,
and-
not Saray.
It's, yeah,
Oh, it
Sheree.
almost sounds. It kind of sounds like Sheree.
Yeah. She by Sheree.
Saray. She by Sheree. Saray. Yeah. Okay. I can dig it. Saray.
Saray.
Oh, Saray.
Hooray, yeah.
Saray. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna call him Saray. But before we dive into this storyline, our very own previous co-host and my chocolate twin James Law Jr. Has brought back his look who's related, just so we can know a little bit of backstory about Renee Dumont. Is that her?
Dumont.
Come on.
Dumont. Renee
Renee
Dumont.
Dumont.
So check this out.
Look who's related. I'm James Lott Jr. Many of you came to me asking about Renee Dumont. Right now, Sarah Horton thinks she's Renee, which is actually, for longtime viewers, is hilarious because how much Renee hated the Hortons. Here's a very brief history. One, she has the distinction of being one of the first of Stefano's daughters to come to town. Of course, she didn't know she was Stefano's daughter. Found out later through her mom, Lee Dumont, played by the wonderful Brenda Benet. The actress in real life took her own life. So they wrote Lee out and made Renee very bitter and angry towards her mom, which fueled her to mirror rage, of course. Now, she was known for her relationships. One, she has the distinction of being the first, before Christian years later, having a relationship with Tony DeMira. That's right, she was in love with Tony. Lots of shenanigans happened. When Sarah mentioned the whole hole in the boat thing with Anna, that was a famous scene that was very true, causing Anna to miscarry, which made Anna and Renee enemies. It's a famous scene in a hospital where Renee's laying there and Anna tries to come in to just tell her she's going to tell on her and tell her secrets. But Renee turns the tables and tells Anna, I just know your secrets too, bitch. She did. Something about white slavery. I'm not going to get into that right now. It's a little crazy. Anywho, she also was married to David Banning. You're like, who's that? Julie's son and Eli's father. Lost his child to everybody up hating her to Judy hated her. They sent him to hating the Hortons. She actually, in the end, married Alex Marshall. You're like, who's he? That's a whole other story. But he was involved with Marie Horton. And you're like, who's Marie Horton? One of Tom and Alice's kids, of course. Marie is the mother of Jessica and the grandmother of Nick Fallon. Nick Fallon's grandmother was Marie Horton. Yes. So she got involved with Alex Marshall, trying to scam him and everything. She has a famous episode where she invites half of Salem in a stunning black dress and tells everybody off. You wish it was you, of course. Tell you, and you're tired, and you're tired, and you're tired, and then leaves the room, of course. It was great. She had two friends, Chris Kolchatek, played by Josh Taylor, who plays Roman Brady now. Yes, he played a whole character for 10 years. Whole other story. Different character. And no one said a thing. And she was friends with Marlena. Marlena tried to help her. She always tried to help everybody. Even back then, she was trying to help people. Didn't really work out. Renee's demise happened at the hands of the Salem slasher. Who's Salem slasher? She got a knife in her back, which was very ironic. Andre DeMira. That's right, kids. Andre's a Salem slasher. So there you have it, kids. She was played by the wonderful Felice Sampler, who passed away last year. And I got a chance to get to know her a little bit. Me and Mark Freeman, Mark J. Freeman, did an interview for her for Dishin Days. You can catch that interview here online. She was a wonderful person, a big career in anime and voiceover work. And she was so proud of her Days of Our Lives time. And I'm trying to see. Oh, here it is. That's her. She gave me this picture and her autograph. This is from the Days of Our Lives times. It's away. Photo by George Rodriguez. Make sure I mention that. And she gave me this pen, promotional pen they gave her. This is back in the 80s, kids, when we used to write from Days of Our Lives. It's crazy. So that's Renee Dumont, if you're wanting, or Renee Dumont Demir, however you want to put it. She's one of Stefano's children. And look at all the connections she's related to. Yes, related to. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm James Lott Jr., and I'll see you again sometime.
Oh, thank you, James Lott Jr., for doing that. And you can find that interview right on our YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out.
I hope there's not a quiz later, because that was a lot.
That was, yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense as far as like, because as soon as she said she was Renee, I was like, oh my gosh, who's Renee? Like that was before the time that like I was like watching Days, but like the gist of it all was like, I feel like her and Anna were almost like Kristen and Marlena.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so like there was
The rivalry.
hatred.
Yeah.
So what do we think of this storyline? I can tell you this. I find this storyline to be very intriguing because number one, it goes back to a past character and using history. Two, it brings back up something that we never thought would come up again, which was when Abigail drugged Gabi. Or
No,
was
she tried to drug Gwen. Gabi stopped her.
Right.
I completely forgot about that whole thing until
Completely
like
forgot about it.
this. Yeah.
And then she was just like, "Oh my God! Like I'm the reason why," because that's the same syringe that Kristen stuck Ciara with. And I was just like, who would have ever thought to like? Well, the writer did obviously, but I would have never thought to even had used that little bit of information.
Yeah, exactly. This was good. This was good use of history, not just from the 80s with the Renee Anna stuff, but a good use of recent history of something that never really got really resolved or happened, and we were like, okay, that happened, but now it kind of explains it. If there was, I like that there was like a complete explanation for Ciara like thinking she's someone else other than like she just went crazy like because she's on the island. Like it was kind of fully fleshed out. So I definitely appreciate this, and yeah, it's one of the more intriguing stories going on, and I like how they're kind of snowballing on that. Okay, Kristen has all these people on the island, but now there's a new layer to everything, and now, of course, it can't just be that Ciara gets rescued and goes back to Salem and everyone's happy. They've added this, like I said, another layer to it, to keep the drama going, which is the reason we watch the show, right?
Justin, Araceli, what did you guys think?
I love this. I'm very intrigued on where they're going with it. I love the fact that they actually fleshed it out. I love that it we brought back the Abigail and Gwen stuff. And also it wasn't like another brainwashing thing. It wasn't like, a Dr. Rawl where we what's going on?
What's happening?
Yeah.
It wasn't a Dr. Ralph thing. I don't know about you guys, but I actually it popped into my head, and I think before I actually figured it out before. I know EJ gave the clue earlier in the episode where he was talking about the dead siblings, and he mentioned Renee and Tony. But also it was our conversation, Araceli and Tony, when we were talking about her hair. Remember, we were like, something's going on with Sarah's hair. We don't know if it's island hair or if it's a character trait. But once she said, once he mentioned Renee earlier, and then she recognized Kayla and didn't recognize Steve, it immediately popped into my head, oh, she's Renee. The timeline, the hair thing. I was like, okay. And the fact that they use the hair thing as a moniker now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought it was interesting.
I thought it was just fun to watch Steve and Kayla trying to figure out
who she thought she was.
Because Kayla the whole time was just and I felt like Steve was over it right off the bat. He was just oh God, here we go with this. On top of us being on an island, here we go with this cuckoo girl. And then finally Kayla was just like, well, who do you think you are?
She's like,
She was
maybe she thinks she's Anna. She's like, I'm not that bitch, Anna. I was like, okay. Feel some kind of way.
It was just so funny. Also, side note, thank God that Patch got his eye patch back.
Oh.
Because I don't think I would have been able to watch him with just like the cloth over.
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, why did she take it in the first place? But
Not
now
functional.
that he has it back, it's like it's great. So kudos to that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Araceli, what are you thinking about this storyline?
I found it so. Well, remember, I totally called this when I said, "Well, the real
You did.
Sarah, please stand up, because that ain't Sarah." They're like twirling around like some kind of 80. Well, no, not even 80. Just some kind of damsel in distress, waiting for her Prince Charming to come and rescue her. I was like, that is not Sarah. Sarah be kicking down the door. And we were right on the money. And then I loved hearing Kristen's explanation, because Kristen could have picked anybody. But I loved Kristen's explanation for why she chose to brainwash her into thinking she was Renee in particular, because you can totally see how she said it, docile. How docile, unless it comes to Tony, how docile this character, whatever we're going to call her, is. You know, it's not until Anna's name is mentioned that she goes into a switch.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is not
But
someone.
did Kristen
I wanna be
brainwash her, or did after? Because I thought after the use of the syringe, she started reading Renee's book.
I didn't think it was intentional for her to think that she was Renee. I thought that because Kristen mentioned that the drugs scrambled her brain, and that she gave her Renee's book to read, or the diaries to read, but it wasn't intentional to make her think it was Renee.
Yeah, that could still be a form of brainwashing.
But
it could be, but I don't think that was Kristen's intention. I think it just happened that way.
Yeah,
I think it was more happy accident. Yeah, no.
Yeah, because Kristen was like, well, thank God that she didn't have to like figure out how to keep her here, because she was just so in love with the character of Renee and like her book and so fascinated by it that it was just like a switch, and she just decided that that's who she was going to be.
And without being a viewer back then and knowing like what Renee's personality was like, or how Philly Sampler played her, I think I appreciated Lindsay's nuances about how she's she's definitely not Sarah. This is not Sarah.
Yeah.
And so I think she did a good job of kind of altering her acting to make her, Renee instead of Sarah. Like she's more playful, almost like a little girl in an adult's body. But and again, I don't know if anyone who's here was watching back then, if that's an accurate portrayal of the Renee character or not, but I enjoyed it.
I think that this is a character that it's one of those characters that takes a special actress to play. Otherwise, the audience is like, "Oh man, she's annoying. Can we kill her faster?"
Also, I think it's interesting that it's also like, quote unquote, Sarah's interpretation from the diary of who Renee is too. So I think that's where we get some of the childlike stuff from, because Renee was more docile than Sarah, but she wasn't really like childlike. So I think this is like,
I wouldn't call her childlike. I would call her like she's stuck in like that teenage mentality, damsel in distress. I still believe in my knight in shining armor kind of a thing. I would call her like a teenager.
Yeah, she's getting those cues from like a diary version of Renee's thoughts, kind of a thing. Because also, I thought about this too when she was like, "I'm Renee." I was like, I don't think Sarah was, and I remember like Sarah was a toddler back then, so she wouldn't have any sort of knowledge of how Renee acted or who she was, kind of a thing. She honestly wouldn't even know who Renee is. Yeah. So it's really like the interpretation of the diary of how she's playing her.
I'm really glad we got a lot of explanation this week as to Renee's backstory through Kayla, because when she said that she was Renee, that she was in love with Tony, that she was around when Tony and Anne first got together, I had to do the math on it, and I was like, Did she predate Sarah's existence? Because she clearly predated Steve and Kayla's relationship.
She
So
mentioned
that's, like,
something. She mentioned something
way
about Sarah. Didn't she mention something about Sarah?
Yeah,
Being
so,
a little
so
girl.
basically,
She said Sarah was
a toddler at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before she said that, so that was like Wednesday's episode. We got the explanation that
Sarah
Tuesday
was
I
a
was doing the
toddler when
math.
she was around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I was doing the math. I was like, dang, that was a really long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I thought the whole thing was interesting to have her be Renee, and I suddenly, like, to be honest, this whole thing with the island, I find so interesting, because um, I don't know, and I think that was the moment where I felt like, this feels like such a different show for me, but in a
It's a
good
new
way.
way to do the whole these people are on an island thing. It's like the Meliswan 2.0. It's not just that these
Yeah.
characters who are presumed dead are sitting on an island. It's now
Mhm.
these characters are sitting on an island. One Abigail is stuck there. Sarah is there, but she thinks she's someone else. You know, it's just a different way of doing that. A storyline that they've done before, but with a different spin on it.
And it's a
Yeah.
very, if we had gotten a brainwashed Sarah to believe that she was a character from, let's say, the last 10, 20 years, I think it would be a little less tricky to convince her that, she's actually Sarah Horton, because there's a 40-year gap in history. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole child's lifetime, as evidenced by the fact that Sarah was a toddler. Eli was not born yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite literally a lifetime.
Yeah. Um, I almost forgot about Kate and Chaz trying to
Oh, yeah.
put the pieces of the puzzle together,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like what's happening or what happened with Abigail. It's still so weird to me that, like, all these years later, like, people don't remember the island, and like if someone disappears, it's like
And they're
check
like,
here
oh,
first.
maybe check the island.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
It-
Selective
somebody
memory.
disappears at the hands of a demare, there's only two places they're going: the wine cellar and the island. That's it.
yeah. Yeah.
And no one ever checks those. It's never the first place they
Also,
check.
Your Wi-Fi is breaking
I'm
up.
getting the impression though that this isn't. I know. I'm like, it's like, yeah, you guys are like in and out for me for some reason. The audio's weird. But I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the charm was getting. I'm getting the idea this isn't the Meliswan Island. This is a different one.
No, this is it. There's only one. Just because they don't name it doesn't mean that it's
Are
not
we
it.
sure? I thought this was a different island. Because the
Well, I'm
Demiras
just gonna.
they mentioned having multiple islands.
Well, I feel like it's somewhere in the vicinity.
Mhm.
I mean, they haven't really said, but I'm just
Meliswan
gonna assume it's the
adjacent.
Meliswan. Yeah.
I think we can safely assume.
Yeah. Hmm. Um.
Hmm.
This is being compared to the cabin. Um.
Not
I'm trying
wrong.
to think. Was there anything else? Oh, and then Jack basically just like coming to Gwen and saying Abigail is missing. Tell me if you had anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
What's she gonna
Side
say?
note. Well, I know she's just gonna lie. Um,
Hmm.
this whole engagement thing with Gwen and Xander,
A little weird.
like, you broke. You know, like, you ain't like you have like, who gonna pay the bill at Salem Inn?
If we're
Yeah,
gonna go
they still
down
gonna
that
do that.
logic road, then we also have to go down the logic road that asks how Ben and Ciara can afford this new loft.
Because Ben and Ciara is a Kyriakis, so she probably have like a trust fund or something, or Victor is footing the bill. Gwen and Xander ain't got nobody.
I know.
Like they have themselves in that room in the Salem Inn. So the question is, if you had Sarah's ring this whole time, why would you trade it in for another engagement ring? Because how are you gonna eat?
We're not supposed
Because
to ask those
again,
questions. We're just supposed to
yeah,
accept it and move on.
can somebody please tweet Emily and Paul and ask them, hey, who's footing the bill for the Salem Inn in the room that y'all are staying in? And
They
how
could,
you
they
gonna,
did a GoFundMe
Yeah.
for themselves.
that's it. It has to be.
We're
Because
just
I'm
gonna say
like,
that's it.
I'm all for Gwen and Xander, but I feel like they're trying to make this engagement thing happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they would have just like put them in a better position first instead of like the broke couple, because that's what they look like right now. They look like the broke couple who ain't got like. Can you at least make Xander like I don't know a waiter at the
Yeah.
bistro,
Mhm.
something, so that we at least know he has some sort of job.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Marlon
Yeah.
Wallace said Gwen and Xander do have Jack. Wouldn't he help them financially? No.
I
No.
wouldn't buy that either. Yeah.
And he doesn't work at Basic Black anymore.
Someone said, oh, they keep
Xander
mentioning
is
that,
a
Xander's a
yeah.
Kyriakis, but Victor ain't going to give him money.
They
Victor ain't
haven't
giving him
had
nothing.
jobs for months.
No.
Damn near a year.
Yeah.
Damn near.
Yeah.
Must
But
be nice.
but see, and here's another thing. But they were going to London. How they were going to get to London?
She said
Spirit
something
Airlines.
about frequent flyer miles. She did mention that. Something about frequent flyer miles. And I think her intention at that point was not only to get Xander out of town, but to have them stay there.
I just feel like this is another mystery that won't be solved. Like where was Paulina's shoes?
Are we really back on that?
Yeah, because where did her shoes go?
Uh-oh. Well, we lost one.
Right. Well, he's off to Mellow all right, let's keep it moving with Rafe, Nicole, Ava, Trask, and Allie. Um,
Who's that for?
Bravo, Ava,
Oh,
stellar
thank you.
performance of trying to act like you ain't already know
Right.
that Rafe and Nicole had sex on that conference table, and you're the one that made sure that those prisoners had told that lie so that Rafe could be in jail and probably end up there for the rest of his life. Kudos, Ava. That was a stellar performance of, wait, you two had sex? How many times? How many times? And I'm like,
I almost forgot.
girl,
It almost convinced me that I forgot that she knew, and then it hit me. I was like, "Wait, she already knew this, didn't she? That's why she's pulling the strings with this Rafe thing." For a second, though, it convinced me that she didn't actually know. But then I was like, "Wait, no, she knew, and that's why she, cut the head off the bear."
I was in there like,
She was going for
I,
that Emmy.
I was
Yeah.
like, Ava, you should take a cookie for this stellar performance, honey. Like
Right.
as soon as she walked out, she would have said, "I hope you rot in hell. Happy Valentine's Day," and like hit it. Although those cookies did look good, y'all. They
Yeah.
They
looked
did look
real
good.
good. Like I had to take a moment. Like I wasn't listening to anything for a second when I saw them cookies come on. Them cookies had looked real good. Mm. Um, but how do we feel about Nicole just being like, just spilling the beans
I felt like it was kind of
that her
anticlimactic.
and Rafe had sex? Huh?
I
She's
felt like
very
it was
stand by her
anticlimactic.
man.
Stand by her man, says Araceli. What'd you say, Michael?
I said it just seemed anticlimactic.
I
Like
think
all that build up just to spill it. You know what I mean? I
Justin,
don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm glad we're getting some movement here. It was like we need this storyline to move forward. Like it's like everyone kind of knows what everyone's doing, but no one finally she finally just said it out loud. like we're on to you. We know what's up. Finally, Rafe like grew a pair and ended it. Like, yeah, we need some movement with this storyline.
I'm sorry. He would not have said a damn word if Nicole hadn't opened her mouth.
No.
He wouldn't have. He's the character is such a coward to me. He really is. And I kind of wanted Ava to really go for the jugular, but I understand why she didn't, because she would have overplayed her hand.
Yeah.
So good on her. But it's like, just because what Ava's doing is wrong doesn't let you guys off the hook.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and I think that they think that. I think that they think that because Ava is quote unquote the bad person and has always been the bad person, that people think that just because the bad person is doing bad things that it justifies your behavior, and it doesn't.
I also think it was a last ditch to try to save Rafe. I think maybe Nicole was hoping that Ava would be like, yeah, I did it, and now you're going down. Happy Valentine's Day.
I mean, here's the thing. Again, and I've said it again and again. The cheating is one thing, but the lying, the repeatedly, like, not taking her out because she gave him outs. She gave him several outs. And the righteousness.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
And then there's Trask, who is just like, I just feel like she wants a win so bad.
Yeah, she does.
She just wants a win. She don't care.
But you know what? She has a point. I was actually on Trask's side for this one, because she was right. She's like, she's like listening to Nicole blabber on and this and that. And she's like, "Do you have any proof? What do you want me to do?"
Oh, now she won't prove?
Yeah.
Now she won't prove
Well,
it.
hey,
EJ is currently in jail for the one time he didn't do it.
No, but just because all that proof is manufactured doesn't mean it's not in her lap. She's going to use what's in her lap. You know, but her big thing is, like, she has, actually, in both cases, she has witness testimony, and in both cases, people are lying. But
agreed, Freeman.
But she's got to use what she has, and unless Nicole can produce, actual evidence, sorry.
Which she tried.
SOL.
I mean, she gave a good college try there, coming in as Jennifer.
Yeah. I was like, what? I was confused for a minute, but then I'm like, oh, she's okay.
Yeah.
She's trying, but okay, go ahead.
I was like, not for coming in as Jennifer Devereaux. We forgot. Nicole was a reporter for a hot
That's what
second.
I was like, yeah. Part of me was like, oh, why didn't she come in as herself? Or
Yeah. I'm still. I mean, I know it's like not right in the real world, but I'm really on Ava's side, and I even like if she.
You're on Ava's side.
Yeah.
So you're okay with her doing all this stuff to Rafe?
The idea that
that's not not the idea of it's a simple yes or no. Are you okay with what she's doing to Rafe?
Does the
Rafe
second wrong make a right?
You keep trying to explain your yes or no, Araceli. You just said you on Ava's side. Are you okay with what she's doing to Rafe?
I don't like.
You keep trying to go to an explanation.
Just say yes.
Or just say you're more against Rafe than you are for Ava. I think that's a good.
That's a yes, Justin. That's a good way of putting it. I am really sick and tired. Nicole has had her ups and downs, so I'm not gonna fault her. She's just very loyal, and that's who Nicole is. Nicole is being very Nicole.
I'm really yes sick. Or no, if you are okay with what Ava is
I'm really
doing to
sick
Rafe.
of Rafe pretending he is constantly the good guy.
Yeah.
Because he's not. Let's not forget he cheated on Hope.
He did not cheat on Hope.
No, he didn't cheat on Hope.
I mean, technically no, but it was a
He
shitty thing to
lied
do
to
regardless.
Hope. He lied to Hope.
He cheated on Jordan.
Cheat on Jordan.
With who?
Kate.
He covered up a murder.
Kate.
Are we all forgetting he actually covered up a murder? He actually did commit a crime?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Stefano's murder, right?
Yes.
Because Hope murdered him.
It's
Yes.
Stefano.
So let's not. I'm tired of Rafe pretending he is the righteous one. He is
So,
not.
Yeah.
back to my original question. You are okay with what Ava is
Brad
doing
K, don't
today?
even start with that on a break nonsense with me.
They were on a break.
Nope.
They were actually broken up.
Yeah, they kind of were. Like, that's the thing about the Rafe sleeping with Sammy. Like, yeah, they were broken up.
Back there
Like,
again.
it was a shitty thing to do right away. Like, I'll
Yeah.
give him, like, that's
Lots of
accurate.
people
But
do
it's also
shitty
accurate
things.
that they were broken up at the time.
Yeah.
They
Lots
were
of people
broken
do
up.
shitty things. You don't have to like repeatedly lie, and then not to mention, there's doing shitty things. There's lying about it, but then there's the repeated pattern. When it starts to become a repeated pattern, you see what I mean? Because this is not the first time that Rafe has lied about it. So it's the repeated pattern of I slept with this person, but technically we're broken up, and then I lied, but technically I thought that this was the situation, so therefore I'm justified in lying about it. You see how this is starting to be a pattern?
What I'm
Starting to
see-
be. It's been his pattern.
what I'm
It's been
seeing
his
as
pattern.
What I'm seeing as a pattern is Araceli ducking and dodging the question of if you are okay with what Ava is doing to Rafe based on your dislike for Rafe.
I will not say anything to
Oh, you
incriminate
gonna
myself
say
in a court of law.
because we
God,
we say on here we make predictions and we put them in an envelope to reveal later, or we say it right away. But this situation is happening now. So Araceli, you are on the witness stand of the court of Dishin Days, and the one question that we have for you is: are you okay with what Ava is doing to Ray? You cannot plead the fifth. You cannot go into another explanation. I want to hear either yes or no.
Ava has justifiable anger.
What I say?
You will not get me to incriminate myself.
There's no
Tony.
right or wrong answer.
No, it's either I'm okay with it. Yes, I'm fine with it because, or no, I'm not because.
I refuse to incriminate myself in a future court of law.
So basically, let me answer for you. Basically, what she's saying is she is okay with it, but really not to the extent of what Ava is doing. But he does need to pay in some way, but she's taking it a little too far. You better say
Rafe
something more. I'm gonna put words
Needs
in
to
your
learn
mouth.
that actions have consequences.
But are these the right actions for the consequence?
We shall see how it plays out.
That's not what I'm asking you.
I will say this. Part of me thought that when Ava left the room with Nicole and Rafe, that like it was gonna come out that the witnesses like pulled back their statement or something. Part of me thought like she was maybe like wanted them to come clean and then she was gonna call it off. I felt like that. I had like a little bit of smidge of like, okay, like that's all she wanted from them. She wanted them to finally come clean and be honest with her, and she'll call it off. But she's still going with it.
I will say it is quite ironic that the one crime that Ava didn't commit is now the fuel for convincing these men to keep their mouths shut.
Oh yeah, stabbing what was his name?
Yes,
We don't even know. He did.
Yeah.
whoever that
forgetting,
guy
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But that's
You hear
the
about-
one crime
is
she
it Carmine?
didn't commit.
Yeah,
Carmine.
Carmine. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Michael
No,
Maddox, you
Carmine's
heard
her
about
cousin.
Carmine?
Dead.
Well, whoever the guy was. It's the one crime she didn't commit, and ironically, she is now able to use it to her advantage. So yeah.
But I think there's something there still. I don't know if it's regret because remember she was crying in the Horton Town Square. And it's like she knew all this all along. They finally just admit it. So there's still something there. I don't know if it's the feelings. I don't know what she thought, but why would she be crying over this?
I think it was very calculated. I think it can be both. It could be her letting herself feel these emotions, but also realizing she does have to put up this front like she just found out.
Oh.
She did. No.
It was Charlie. It was Charlie.
Who would she be performing for, though? I mean, no one else knew it but her.
It does. Even if she didn't know that Allie was walking up in front of her, she would have to put on some kind of public display.
But I mean, can't we just excuse that as, like, it's just her emotions coming to the surface? Like, she's legit upset about it. She puts on a good front. It takes effort to put on a good front. It's emotionally draining. It could have just been the floodgates, the confrontation that happened, it finally coming out, just got to her, and she was emotional about it. Yeah. That's how I kind of perceived it.
And Araceli is fine with how Ava is taking revenge on Rafe.
Look.
It's okay.
It takes a lot of effort to cook and bake from scratch. I have bloody knuckles.
Wait a minute. Are you
from the dry skin because of the dry air and the constant washing of my hands when I'm baking and I'm cooking. If I'm getting my knuckles bloody for someone, you better believe that I don't do that for just anybody.
You telling me that you are okay in this because she cooked from scratch?
Okay, we've made the storyline more interesting here than it has been in the past few weeks, okay? If that says anything. So maybe, yeah.
Just saying, people who really love you don't order takeout on a regular basis. Or they order your favorite takeout. They'll put in effort.
You ain't even got to say nothing else. I thought I was petty. But we Shonda 972, I will move on when I feel like it. If I want the joke to keep going, I'm gonna keep it going. Thank you very much.
It's my fault, Shonda. He keeps trying to incriminate me.
And Sasha 0406, you too. Kelly, you too. I will keep that going as long as I find it funny. And I find it hilarious that Araceli just won't admit that she enjoys what Ava is doing to Rafe. I find it funny.
I'm giggling.
Me too. And that's the type of fun we have on this show. But also, can people not keep a secret? Like, why did Ava have to tell Allie that Trip was going to propose?
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if that was calculated or not.
Oh, I don't think so. No. I just think she was blabbing.
Mm-hmm. She was going on, and then she was like, "Oh, yeah, especially tonight." Sorry, and I'm like, "How you just gonna tell her?" Yeah. Anyway, so but it does pose an interesting question. What's going to happen?
When your potential mother-in-law is accused of framing your surrogate father.
What?
Huh? Allie and Ava. That competition. I don't know. That's just to me another day in Salem.
I mean, Annette is right. No one can keep it secret. Nobody.
The tea is always spilled.
Right. All right, so let's move on to Johnny, Gabi, and Jake. All I'm going to say about this storyline is Gabi, ask Jake.
Mm-hmm. I know. She's kind of just making all of these assumptions and taking Johnny's word without... And she barely knows... Like... Yeah.
Well,
agreed.
But it's also this thing of like, so Gabi is very like strong, right? She's strong, independent, whatever. So why is it that when Jake said that, did she not walk into the room with Jake and Maggie and go, "Excuse me, you finna do what now?"
it's a little bit out of character for Gabi not to be confrontational about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
She's being convinced to play the long game, which Gabi has also done before.
I think I was kind of waiting for a little bit of a twist here, and part of me thought like maybe even if she was still mad at Jake, that she wouldn't be completely on Johnny's side. So I was waiting for a little bit like a recognition of like both of you men are trying to play me, even if she did think ill of Jake. At least like she's not falling for Johnny. So I kind of feel like maybe hopefully that's a twist coming up, maybe, or that at least for me would make it more interesting because she went from being with the guy who she loves. She saw something she didn't like. She turns on him. Now she's sort of in bed with Johnny. She really has no connection with him. It just seems a little too close to, be in bed with Johnny so soon.
Yeah, that's definitely too soon. But you know what? I do like, Gabi and Jake, that whole takeover bid was to me very far-fetched and very stale until JoDevil got involved. So at least I'm interested in this now.
Well, yeah, at least they've thrown a wrench into it, and yeah, they've made it a little more interesting. And I kind of am enjoying JoDevil. Like, I still think that was a good decision. I know a lot of people are saying like they're tired. It should have ended when Marlena was exorcised, but I like that they took that they, and I think we talked about it. We were surprised. It was a surprise. So I'm still going with it, and I think Carson plays the devil and Johnny very well.
Yeah. Guys, realize that most people, we don't, but most people are very spoilery. They want to know what's months ahead. This is the one twist that I think they kept such a tight lid on. They were so vague about it in previews that nobody could figure it out. And so I appreciate that this is the one twist that they really kept a lid on until the last possible second.
Yeah.
And they did it like as almost like a New Year thing. So it was really like kicking off the New Year with a bang.
Yeah.
Well,
I had a comment to make and I forgot, but if it comes back to me, I'll make it.
Okay. I like the fact that they're keeping the devil storyline going and that we get to see other people possessed. I think the revisit with Marlena, was very nostalgic, but now it's like great to see the devil still kind of like now at the hands of like making things happen. I get why people want to see it ending because we really don't know the devil's end game. We thought it was the baby, but he's like concentrating on a whole bunch of other stuff. But I don't know. I find it interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Where's Susan Banks?" Let me tell you, Susan Banks said, "I am not going to be in Salem during all this mindness."
She went back to Nashville to be with Roger.
Yeah. Great.
Or the devil made her go back to.
Yeah, exactly.
The devil made her go back to.
Did anyone understand the significance of like Gabi not wanting to take the cherry chocolate from Jake, but willingly took it from Johnny?
Oh, I thought it was to show that she was lying to Jake.
Oh, okay.
That the cherry's her favorite.
It wasn't a great point to be made, but I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, she's not really allergic to cherries. Or I thought maybe
I
it was some
understood
kind
that
of like,
already.
I thought Johnny Devil was like being dirty or something, like, because I do appreciate that they've made like the devil very horny, like almost like gross about it. I'm like, okay, because that's something you couldn't do like with possessed Marlena. Like possessed Marlena couldn't be like dirty like that. They had, but they're taking advantage of the fact that a young guy in his 20s is now possessed.
Yeah.
Well, they had to do it with Mar Devil in a different way, like telling Brady to take Chloe on the conference table.
Convince other people to be dirty.
Yes.
Be scandalous.
All right, so that's pretty much it with those storylines. Those are our top storylines.
Do we think someone mentioned this, that we never see them working? Do we think that that's like, okay, so on other soaps when they do these business oriented storylines, they take place at the office, like Bold and the Beautiful with Forrester Creations, Young and the Restless with Newman Enterprises and Jabot. Like, and I think maybe that's one of the disconnects why these, and I know they have like the one Demira office, they have the one Titan office, but even those don't get used a whole lot. Talking about these storylines, maybe that's what's always missing and why these storylines don't really take off for us.
Yeah.
Because we never see them doing it. We can't get invested in it. I don't know.
Well,
that was just something
I think
someone mentioned it. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why we just these storylines never really.
Well,
you know,
here's the
resonate with
thing.
us.
I think it was James Lott Jr. a few weeks ago might have made this point, and I agreed with him that every show has a different tone and a different tenor kind of a thing. And those shows are very corporate, and they always have been. Days is different where they have corporations, but we also have a larger canvas to play with. I think we have maybe twice as many characters as some of those other shows. And because, and I'll make this point because people like make comments about people weaving in and out, and like how Jennifer has been gone a long time and Ciara weaves in and out. I think that's a plus for both the actors and from a storyline perspective. We get more people on the canvas.
More variations of the
allows-
same. Yeah.
Yeah, it allows storylines to not become so stale because people can weave in and out. You know, it's not necessarily the same people in one storyline for months at a time. And so I think that as Days fans, we can appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah. Hope so.
Yeah. All right. Now, those are our top 3 storylines. And we're going to head into tidbits. But before we do, just a reminder to make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, take us along with you on your favorite podcast. And then also, we got
New styles just released.
New style. So
New arrivals.
go and check it out. All right, now heading into some tidbits. We have first up Lonnie, Eli, Abe, Ciara, Paulina, and Anna.
Anna becoming a screenwriter.
Anna, shut up.
Exterior. That's how they always start. No. Interior.
Oh, you're missing though.
And that's not even how you
Yeah.
even write a treatment.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. That is not what
Like
a
a treatment
treatment
isn't a
is.
script. The treatment is just like a description of what you're doing.
Like a
Anna
script.
went full on. She's just
But she has-
Yeah,
I
even
think
the way
she-
that she was writing it was not correct.
no. But
Even if you're writing a script.
but it makes sense that she would be doomed.
Yeah.
She's
However, it brought up a good
irrelevant.
point that I'm going to slip into a tangent for a second. How has Anna not been a writer all this time?
Like, why doesn't Anna have a book? She could
Yeah.
tell some stories.
Oh.
The more that she did, I was like, wait a minute. You know, Anna could very easily become a novelist, especially of like those supermarket romances that you
Like a
find.
Madeline Fisher.
Yes. I could totally see that as a
Mary
career
Fisher?
for Anna.
Now awarded.
Mary Fisher. Mary Fisher lives in the house by the sea.
Mary Fisher.
That could be a very lucrative career for Anna. I don't know why this is the first time that this has been thought of.
Hmm.
You know, and that's my little, spiel about that. In all other respects, Anna, shut up because your situation is very much not this situation.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, she doesn't know. I mean,
Listen, Anna's trying to be a star, okay?
yeah.
That's what she's.
I like how Ciara, like, when she was like, I could play Kristen, and he's like, you realize this happened 25 years ago. And she was like, just put some Vaseline on the lens.
She was using those old.
She was
old
trying.
school tips. Yes, she was.
Yeah. Filters.
Every time TR says I've changed, I always hear Araceli go, that's what people who are like that do all the time. They always lie and say that they've changed, but they really haven't.
No.
So I'm wondering if he actually has. Lonnie is, I think she's on the fence about this. Like, she's understanding more why Paulina did what she did, which I think is great, which helps their relationship. But I do think she's intrigued by seeing her biological father.
Yeah.
Thing. People can change. However, you don't find people true change happening, when things are at their best, when people are successful. People show how they've changed when they're backed into a corner. And right now, TR still thinks he has a lot of cards to play because he's clearly piquing Lonnie's interest. We see that. And maybe it's true that he has gotten sober. Maybe it's true that he hasn't laid a hand on a woman in decades. However, you don't know what someone's true change is until they're backed into a corner. Until he has zero chance of a connection with Lonnie, until somebody backs him into a corner, and it might very well be Paulina, we will not know for sure.
I think what's interesting is he's telling us he's changed. I think for me, what I'm seeing is I'm still seeing an aggression with him, and I think he's riding this kind of soapbox of like, my daughter was taken from me, so I have a right to her, kind of a thing. I think I'd have more sympathy, or I'd be honest, trained a little bit more if I found him more, not necessarily apologetic, but I feel like when he brings up the stuff with Paulina, it's always, oh, I was a changed man. He kind of brushes it off. He doesn't really acknowledge the severity of what he did. And I don't know if he gets that. So in essence, he may be a changed person in the sense that he hasn't attacked a woman, or he doesn't abuse women anymore. I don't know if he understands the damage he caused and how he set this in motion yet.
And when people use that kind of possessive language, as if Lonnie is his property, his right to, even though she's a grown woman. And you could see it in that conversation between Eli and TR, where TR was like, "Oh, so you're gonna make me stay away from my own daughter?" And he was like, "I don't have the right to tell Lonnie what to do." And that was exactly the right thing to say. It shows tremendous character on Eli's part. He's like, "My wife is her own woman. She makes her own decisions. But I also know her." Now, when it comes to Eli's children, that's a different story. They're minors. He has a right to protect them however he wants.
I also think it's interesting to think about, because I know we sometimes, the public, we have definitely and rightfully so an adverse reaction to domestic abuse. And I'm trying to figure out how the show's kind of tackle this. Like, are we going down the forgiveness route with him in a changed person? Or are we going down we forgive him, but he's still a villain or a bad? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, at the end of the day, are his crimes worse than a lot of the other crimes we've seen from people who we've grown to like?
In Salem, absolutely not.
Jack, the rape, the stuff Stefano has done. No, he's never physically hit a woman, but I mean, he's tortured women, he's kidnapped women,
kept them in cages.
Exactly. Is that any less than what TR's done? So I think it's interesting to come at it from that angle of how the show's going to handle this particular subject.
Yes, and maybe they would take that stance if not for the fact that by comparison, you have Abe Carver, who is one of the few characters that is above reproach. Like, you cannot get better than this man.
Right.
Nothing can be finer than Abe Carver in the morning. And that's why Eli was like, TR was like, "Oh, so that makes you my son-in-law." No, Abe Carver is my father-in-law. He's a fine man. I was like,
yeah. Because what little curiosity and what few good parts TR may have does not compare to the whole character that is Abe.
Right. Well, I'm glad Abe and Paulina are getting along. That seems good. Everyone has kind of moved past everything. I'm also happy to see Eli back. That was a long trip. But I'm curious about this whole line. I like how it's unfolding. I like the addition of TR right now. I'm still wondering if this movie will actually get made. Um, but I also just like the re-exploration of Lonnie, and her concern about TR and like what he's done in the past and if that will
Mhm.
affect her children, seeing as how this is her biological father. So I love the conversation that Lonnie and Eli did have and express themselves. So I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
All right, so Allie, Trip, and Chanel. We kind of talked about this, but
Mm-hmm.
like we know Trip is going to propose to Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chanel reassured Trip that they've only kissed a couple of times and it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Liar.
No, right? I immediately said,
Liar. You
But there's
guys.
no,
huh. Wait, what did you say?
he didn't say anything. He
I
did
did,
something.
don't. Yep. You
Oh,
You're
saw
gonna
okay.
it.
have to
Yeah,
you're gonna have
I
to
thought
watch
you
it
were.
on the playback. See, your Wi-Fi had cut out then.
Oh,
So, but there's something about this whole storyline that like I feel like I'm not on the edge of when and if Allie and what Allie and Chanel did does come out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'll just kind of be like, well,
Yeah. Exactly. Like yeah. I'm the same way.
because like,
Because we don't. I think because they're young and because they don't have like a long history of lying and backstabbing like some of their parents do.
mhm.
Um, we really feel like these characters are genuinely trying to do the best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Their
not going
intention,
after.
their intentions aren't to be vindictive. Their intentions aren't to
Mhm.
screw anyone over. They're like you just said. They're just doing the best they can,
Mhm.
and there's no like. I feel like in this situation, even though yes, what Chanel and Allie did is kind of not great. It's also like I'm not mad about it either.
Yeah,
It's
Mhm.
like I don't see them as like the bad guys in this situation.
yeah.
Exactly. Chanel still genuinely wants Allie to be happy.
Hmm.
And that kind of love is very pure. And you can't, it's like, it's almost so pure, you can't be mad at it.
But
That
also,
it's like, whatever I did, whatever happened, it doesn't matter because I want this person to be happy. I mean, do you know how rare that is?
true. I also feel like um, there's not a solid relationship with Trip and Allie yet to warrant a proposal.
I
I
think
think
that, yeah.
in maybe in Trip's mind they're on
In Trip's
solid
mind,
ground,
yes,
but
but
definitely
Yeah.
no, they're not.
no. Like
yeah.
Yeah. And,
I feel like there's still this worry
hmm.
of like, how does Chanel play into this? Like,
Hmm.
there's nothing that really, and again, we know everything that made us feel like, oh yeah, this is the next step.
This, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly what you said, Tony. There's a stereotypical want of a progression in the relationship. You know what I mean? Kind of like what we were taught when we were growing up. Of like you grew up, you date someone. If the relationship is stable enough, you get married, you have kids, and that's progression, and that's the end. We know better now that emotions are more complicated, people are more complicated. Doesn't always happen that way, and because Trip and Allie just went through so much together, the relationship naturally just progressed. And not that they're not going to be in each other's lives forever. I firmly believe that whatever lays out, whatever happens, they're always going to be in each other's lives because of Henry,
I
because
think
they went through so much together.
I think Ali and Chanel, they're definitely not the bad guy, but I do think they've crossed a line, and not by just the act of sleeping together. I think now they're beyond the point of like we're still trying to sort out our feelings. I think part of that is true, but you now have slept together. He's in a relationship. Like we can't keep doing the same dance of like, oh, we kind of have some feelings here. We haven't sorted them out. Like at this point, she's getting serious with Trip. She has a full-on boyfriend who has taken an active role, not in her life, but in her son's life. And she now knows he's going to propose. We don't know what her answer will be, but she needs to make a move now. They can't keep going under the guise of like, we work together, we're just friends, we just kissed. Oh no, you didn't kiss, you've now slept together. And that was a conscious choice. So they've got to start taking some responsibility here.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to EJ, Clyde, and Belle. EJ's in jail with Clyde. Totally forgot about him being shot by Clyde.
This is like, I hope this is the beginning of Clyde getting punished for the shit that he did when he was on the canvas the first time that he never effing got punished for. He never got punished for what he did to EJ. I'm pretty sure he was responsible for Sonny getting stabbed too. And that I don't remember that ever being resolved or him ever being punished for that. He was never punished for what he did to Jordan. Remember, it was revealed that he raped Jordan. He never got punished for that. Jordan just left. Like, Clyde did so much. And that's what I was hoping when they brought back Rochelle, like, in the last couple years when they brought her back, that she would get justice for that. But no, she ended up dead. By Evan Christian, whatever his name is.
Well, she basically drove herself insane. All that trauma came to the surface, and it drove her insane.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that now Clyde will be getting punished for at least one of the crimes, which was EJ, which I too put out of my mind too. But then it brought all oh yeah, he did that, and he did that, and he did that.
Well,
So maybe.
The other thing is that the audience knew that Clyde shot EJ, but I don't think anybody else actually did.
No.
No one else actually did.
No, it was a thing that we as the audience knew, but no one else does with all three of those things. And at least Clyde's, in jail now, but he's not getting punished for those crimes. He's got punished for something else. But when EJ finds out that it ain't gonna be pretty, someone's getting shanked.
Well, what is he gonna do? Go to jail?
And not in a good way.
But this again is one of those interesting twists because, well, one, the audience knows something that literally nobody else on the canvas knows. Two, it's interesting to think about what Clyde is going to do with EJ's lack of information because he could play this very several different ways.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how all of that plays out.
Is Tony not intrigued by this? I'm intrigued by this.
I think Tony's done for the day. Tony exhausted himself going toe-to-toe with Araceli 20 minutes ago. Now he's just over it. He's like, well, we'll see what happens. Next story.
It's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, like it was literally just like they're in jail together. He doesn't remember. Okay, but now it's like, now what? Because we didn't see them again.
Right. It just it was just like the introduction of that piece of the story. And
so I have no further thoughts.
But this is why I like this week, though. It wasn't such an action-packed week where it's not necessarily like a bunch of things were happening at once, but it was like it sparked a lot of intrigue where it's just like, oh, how is this going to play out?
Right.
See how it didn't hurt my brain as much?
Well, let's move on. We have Craig, Nancy, Johnny, Marlena, John, Chloe, and Brady. I'm glad they didn't go too far into the whole conversion therapy thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. I'm glad that Marlena was there to kind of comfort Nancy, but also kind of shed some light on the situation. Nancy is obviously still hurt, and rightfully so. I love the contrast of Nancy's world is falling apart, but John and Marlena are still thriving.
Yeah.
I am interested to know, although I feel like I have an idea of who, I want to meet Craig's boyfriend.
We all know who it is. We all know who it is. It's out there.
If it's who I think it is, I was hoping they would go a different direction and bring a different gay character back. And that would be the boyfriend. I would be like, I think that would be more interesting than who I think it is. I don't know.
No, I think there's a reason that this particular person.
I think it's the obvious person, but I'm hoping they would go with the other less obvious gay person on the show.
Nope.
Yeah.
This was the only part of this week that really got under my skin. That really did, because I've been really trying to give Craig the benefit of the doubt. you know, because he's clearly been closeted his whole life. Clearly that caused a tremendous amount of pain. And clearly he loves Nancy, just not in, you know, the way a husband should love a wife. So I've really, really, really been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
But it's hard. It's hard, especially when he already has. He's been cheating essentially.
And that's the point. That's the point. And that is the clue. That is the little caveat there. It's like, you didn't come out on your own. You got caught.
Mm-hmm. He didn't come out in the right way. He did not handle this as he should have.
And he's still not handling it. I don't care if you're gay or straight or whatever you want to identify as. If you cheat on your spouse, you do not then go to your child and say, hey, want to meet my new person? No. It's way, way too fast. It doesn't matter that Chloe is a grown woman. He should not be putting Chloe in this position. Period. It puts Chloe in an awful position. And so I will not judge his actions as a man. I will judge his actions as a father, because this is unacceptable.
I can agree with the Chloe about the asking to dinner kind of thing is like too soon. But one thing I really loved, and this was like made the scene for me outside of the Shirtless Johnny thing. I loved Craig standing up for himself, though, when Chloe sort of came and happened upon them and sort of was making, not necessarily insinuations, but sort of kind of like what's going on here and sort of this authority. And I like that Craig stood his ground and stood up for himself. It was like, this is who I am kind of. I like that aspect of it. I thought that was really good and a conversation for them to have.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, I did like that interaction.
I just feel like this is someone who is discovering himself late in life, is being comfortable with himself late in life, and there's no sugarcoating or dancing around it. He's with someone who is about to surprise him and hop on a plane and come to Salem, and there's no tiptoeing around it. Because then, I'm sorry, I can't come to dinner with you, Chloe. I'm busy.
Why not?
Like everyone is grown. It's gonna happen at some point in time. So
at some point
in time, it doesn't need to be right
now.
But Chloe has the right to be like, you know what? No, Dad, it's too soon. Yeah. But I think it also shows that Chloe understands what he's going through, may be upset about what's transpiring between her parents, but to see her dad like happy, not that he wasn't before, but like this is a new happy for him. This is a huge step for him. And they have a very close relationship. So even though it may make her go, oh shit, like I really have to go through this, she wants to show that she supports him, because it's not about her.
Of course.
It's about him and being able to move forward and stuff like that.
And of course, Chloe wants to be a supportive daughter. She loves her parents, of course. But it doesn't matter how old you are, you never stop being your parents' child. And there's a line. I'm sorry, there is a line. There are just some things you don't put your child in that kind of a position. I don't care if they're 7 or 17 or 70. You don't put your child in a position where they feel like they're going to betray one parent over the other. Because yes, Chloe is trying to teeter that line of trying to support both Craig and Nancy. It's not possible right now. So Craig,
it's not a betrayal. It's not a betrayal. But Nancy would see it as a betrayal and would be hurt regardless. And that's what Chloe's like. Yes. That's the awkward position he's putting Chloe in.
But that takes Nancy to understand that this has nothing to do with Chloe. It has everything to do with them as well. Of course, right?
And we as
rationally,
can understand that.
But Chloe, again, she has a decision, yay or nay, on meeting him. But Chloe's making the decision to support her dad. May not, obviously, support the fact that the way that this went about it, but either you're going to sit in this and just be completely upset and like, I hate you right now, so I don't want to be involved and kind of damage the relationship, or you're just going to go, I still see the good person in you. I know that you didn't mean to do this. I'm trying to understand. It's not right, but this is just us like moving forward. Maybe in a speedy way of soaps, but like she's not gonna sit in this and just be upset about this the whole time.
No, she's not. But Chloe's actions here are not wrong at all. But the problem is that Craig does not see Chloe as Chloe. How do I put this? Because Craig and Chloe are so close, Craig almost sees Chloe as not just his little girl, but also as a friend, someone who really understands him on a very specific level. Great. But the problem is, she is still his child. The minute you become a parent, you protect your child first and foremost. And you do not put them in a position where they feel like they have to choose one parent over the other. Yes, that's not what Chloe is doing at all. But Nancy is not in a position. It's too raw right now for Nancy to comprehend how Chloe would want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chloe's the one that's going to lose out here. Because no matter what decision Chloe makes, she's going to disappoint someone. But it's up to the parent to not put that child in that position.
Chloe is grown and can make a grown decision. And it takes your parents to realize that you are an adult and you can make your own decision and you can rationalize things and you can still have a relationship with both without siding with one or the other. It's just like with divorce. It's like when parents divorce. It's not up to the child to decide, okay, well, I'm going to go with daddy or I'm going to go with mommy. Like, you can still have a relationship with both. You still can be supportive of both. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is happening. I would love for you to meet him. And if Chloe didn't want to, it has nothing to do with Nancy. This is between Chloe and Craig. And if Chloe doesn't want to because it's too soon, then Chloe doesn't have to. But Chloe is choosing to say, okay, because I see that this makes you happy, and I'm going to support you and do this. But she's not, in my opinion, just completely like she didn't have to say.
No, I'm not saying that she is.
She didn't say, oh, let me talk to mom first to make sure she's going to be okay with this because I don't want mom to be upset with me. Nancy then has to look at Chloe and say, you make your own decision. I don't want to meet the bitch. Mm-hmm. I don't have to. I'm not ready to do all that. I'm in my own thing. But Chloe can still support her mother as well.
Yeah.
And it's not a betrayal on either one.
I just feel like Craig is so excited about this new relationship that he's almost overly excited, and it doesn't enter his mind how uncomfortable this is going to be, Chloe. He's so excited.
But it's not just him. It's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, it's not just her. It's uncomfortable for him, too. All this revelation of like, oh, I'm gay. Oh, I have a lover. Oh, now you're meeting my daughter. Sure, you can be excited, but when the meet actually happens, it's going to be like, oh, crap. What's about to happen?
I can't judge Craig's actions as a man trying to come into his own. I just think the minute you become a parent, your obligation first and foremost is to your child, no matter what age they are.
Craig didn't tell this man to hop on a flight to Salem. He chose that. So it's not Craig being like, hey, y'all, guess what? I'm gay. And now my lover's coming in. So it's like, I don't think this will be the progression that Craig wants either. Like the man got off the phone and then texted him and was like, I booked a flight.
He's not being thoughtless. He's not thinking this through.
Well, we'll see. Can we move on?
Yeah. Tony and I are just not going to agree on this.
Ciara, Ben, and Julie. The only thing there is that they're the smartest people in Salem to finally figure out that Johnny is possibly the devil. Boom. That's it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like the whole time they
Oh,
were talking, I was just applauding the fact that they were just like putting the pieces of the puzzle
yes.
together,
Hmm.
and I was like, finally, some smart
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in Salem.
I mean,
Yeah.
they not only understand like the nuances of like they figured out the nuances of this like possession, how the devil jumps to one person or another. They understand the practicalities of gravity. Guys,
How the thing
if the
can't
cross
just
is
flip
like
upside down.
if
Yeah.
the cross is like this and there's more weight down here, you know,
It's not
gravity
just a bad
doesn't
nail.
magically
Yeah.
flip upside down.
Yeah.
That's not how gravity works.
Uh, yeah. No, it was a nice scene for them to like get some movement with them and Julie.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Somebody had to figure it out.
And I'm glad it was them because,
Yeah.
yeah,
Again, it's really sad that Johnny's family is not the one to figure this out.
of course not. Well, all right. Well, whew, Lord, that was your week of days. It is now time for our favorite part of the show, which are our segments. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award. Oh, snap. Okay, so listen. There were many snappable moments, right? Um, there was all the reactions to all the tea that was being spilled. There was Abe Carver actually using "Tell Me the Tea," and I was
Tell me the tea.
like, not,
She was like,
not
"Look
Abe
at you."
Carver. But I have to give my 3 snaps to the writers of Days. It may seem like a cop out for the 3 snaps, but the reason why is because I was so intrigued with just the use of history, the introduction of Renee, how they brought something that we thought was so insignificant back into play to make us rethink, oh wow, didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
The whole, island storyline is very interesting and amazing because there's so many people involved, and then to realize that it's bringing, Theo Panglis and um,
Leanne.
Leanne Huntley back on the canvas as Tony and Anna. I was like, I'm living for it. I love what they're doing. People have been saying a lot of stuff about the writers of Days, and how like they're ruining the show and everything like that. But I
Thanks.
find that what they're doing is very interesting and very intriguing. And there's so many plot twists that are happening that they get Tony's official 3 snaps award. Oh snap! And now it's time for caption that.
Yes, this week's Caption That Photo comes courtesy of the confrontation in the police with the coffee and baked goods, the police station, that is. And this week's Caption That goes to our friend James Lott Jr., who I don't know if
Oh
he's still
wow!
around in the chat room, but
Yeah.
shout out to James Lott Jr. with his caption, "No bitch, I'm full, but it looks delicious."
I
Nice.
I saw that and I was like, that's actually really funny.
It was really funny. I could just hear James is
Yeah.
one of those people. You could just hear it. You can hear his voice, like, "No bitch, but it looks good."
Right.
That's my best James Lott Jr. impression,
That was pretty
right
good.
there.
That
Probably
was
not spot on at all, but there you go. Thank you,
got
Mama
the-
James.
You got the essence of the character. Yeah.
and that was caption that. And now it's time for the what the day.
Okay, everyone. This week's Those Were the Days. I'm taking you back to February 21st, 1997, where we had the birth of John Jr., who later became EJ Demira. I love this collage just because it shows not only the birth of John, who later becomes EJ, but it's also Susan and her husband, John, because Susan and John are married at this point. John, thinking it was Kristen, of course, married her right before she went into labor so that John Jr. could be born to married parents. So February 21st, 1997, we had the birth of John Jr., aka EJ Demira.
And those were the days. And now it's time for It's a Gift.
This week's It's a Gift goes to Abigail Demera. Being the badass that she is. And this is why we love her.
Yeah.
She just does not give two shits anymore. Like, she's not scared. She's just like, I'm on this goddamn island. This broad kidnapped me. She's just over it.
And I love it.
Yeah. It's really fun.
I love it.
But she's on it though. She is on it. And I live for it.
Mm-hmm.
I live. All right, you guys. And now it's time for some news and gossip.
Yes, we are starting off with Mr. Tyler Christopher, who played Stefan O'Demira. He will be guest starring on, oh God, I just forgot just popped out of my head.
Maurice Bernard.
Maurice Bernard, yes. Maurice Bernard's very popular show, State of Mind. I believe it will be premiering this week. He drops sometimes, usually a few episodes at a time during the week. But yeah, he will be discussing mental illness, his past with mental illness and addiction issues. So go check that out. I'm sure it will be a fascinating episode. But yeah, Tyler Christopher, State of Mind, Maurice Bernard. Check it out this week on YouTube. Next up, we have, speaking of podcasts, Ari Zucker's one that we've talked about before on the show, Everything from A to Z. She actually has retooled it now and renamed it. It is now called Inspiring Women Resolution. And her latest guest is Ali Sweeney. Here they talk about keeping an active mindset. They also talk about they're working together on days and body image in the era of social media. So you can actually go check that episode out right now on all streaming platforms. Oh no, yeah, all podcast platforms. So check that out. Again, Inspiring Women Resolution. Continuing podcast, one of our favorites, Mr. Brian Datillo, Lucas Warren, has a new podcast coming out. Okay, this is probably going to be the most interesting. Conspiracies Inc. with Brian Datillo. This one, he specifically explores his past with paranormal activity and aliens specifically. I will stop there and let you figure out the rest when you tune in to watch it. It will be a good time, I can tell you that. Conspiracies Inc. is going to premiere Thursday, March 3rd. If the reason why if you know anything about this podcast, you know why I'm laughing. It'll premiere Thursday, March 3rd. Please go check it out. It will be a good time, I'm sure. Moving forward.
Keep it going.
Bowens. She is guest starring on The Marvelous Miss Maisel this season. She is playing a character, let me get this straight, called Tilly. It's a little unclear of how much she's doing. I can't tell if she's doing 2 episodes or 4 episodes. It's still a little bit unclear, but her first of 2 or first of 4 has aired already. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I believe the show drops 2 episodes every week, but you can check out her fifth episode there. Yeah, she looks amazing.
Gorgeous. I mean, the costume designer for that show is already off the charts. I mean, look at her. She's gorgeous.
Looking like a beautiful showgirl. So yeah, check out our friend Raven Bowens on The Marvelous Miss Maisel this season. Yeah. And this one I had to include just because we always talk about Tina Hong, who plays Melinda Trask, expanding her character and giving her more and fleshing her out. And if you either follow her on Instagram or follow Martha Madison, they have become pretty good friends, and you'll see them a lot hanging out and just having a good time. And it's such a contrast to the characters that they play. They're always sort of at each other's throats. So I want to include this just to show, it's kind of some fun times between these 2 women who play rivals on days. Yeah. And moving forward, yes, we have finally next week, it is here, our Dishin Days collaboration with Spectrum Celebrity Events. And our events beginning with the first one, Salem Proud Meet and Greet. We have Mr. Mike Manning, Zach Tinker, Lindsay Godfrey, and Christopher Sean. Saturday the 5th, 9 a.m. to 1:30. Tickets are still available. Hosted by you know who. Okay,
who?
Mr. Tony Moore. Next up, we have our second event for the day. Again, Saturday, March 5th, our Centennial Dinner. Zach Tinker, Dan Farrar. Oh, God. I had it again and forgot it.
Call him Dan.
You're a
Dan, exactly. Stacey Duke, Brendan Coughlin, Billy Finn, Lindsay Godfrey, and Paul Telfer on that one, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And last but not least, we have our live show, Dishin Days Live. Come see us with our two special guests, two of our favorites, Carson Boatman and Lucas Adams. The first two that are happening on Saturday, tickets end on Monday for them. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please go get them. The live show, you can still get tickets leading up to the show. So please, if you are in the area, please come see us live, as well as Carson and Lucas. It's going to be a fun show. Yeah, get your tickets, Spectrum Celebrity Events, for all tickets and information.
All right. Yes, you guys, make sure you do that. All right, because we definitely want to meet you guys, and they will be staying after and doing an hour of autographs. So
$5 each.
Oh, is it? No.
For mine. Just kidding.
Might want to lower that rate.
JK, LOL.
All right, and now you guys, it is time to see what will be happening this week on Days of Our Lives.
Allie Horton, will you marry me?
After you told Trip
Told me what?
that she slept with my wife.
Trip, I love you so much. It was a mistake.
Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her?
Dang! Dang!
Grandma Kate coming to the defense.
It's
Like,
going to be so good to have them there live to talk about this.
Yes.
It's going to be great. All right, you guys. Well, that has been our show, loosely titled Dishin Days. We thank you guys so much for joining us on this lovely Sunday. I really wish the music would have queued up then, but it's now showing commercials. There we are. All right. Well, before we go, Michael Mattis, tell the people where they can find you.
you can find me on the Instagram and the Twitter at, there it is, ML Mattis.
And Justin Hareld.
You can find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And Instagram only. Araceli, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tia323Araceli.
And Twitter only. And, of course, you can find all of us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and _Dishin Days on the Twitter. And you can find Lil on me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. Thank you guys so much for, what'd you say?
I said, or at Pavilions.
True. Thank you guys so much. I was there last night. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you live next week from Burbank, California.
Yeah.
We will actually not be in our homes, but we will be together doing the show for the very first time.
It'll be almost 2 years exactly from the last time we were in studio. I think the last time we were in studio was with Brock Kelly at AfterBuzz. That's almost 2 years ago.
Yep.
And it's the first time the four of us will be in person ever doing a show. Doing a show.
Yeah, doing a show.
We've been in person together before.
Yes, we have. It's a day that Michael Mattis will never forget.
Or completely forget.
2 words.
And if you buy tickets, we'll tell you all about it. Buy tickets for the show. And
That story includes peach vodka. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next week live and in person. Until then, have a wonderful week and enjoy your week of days.
Say bye,
Goodbye,
Bimby.
everybody.
Say bye.
Bye, Bimby.
Bye, Bimby.